Hello and welcome to another review. This isn't a LEGO Star Wars review. This is a review that I've been waiting to do since the start of the year. I saw this toy slash collectible announced. I've been waiting to do this review. What is it? Shit. What is it, you might ask? Thomas. So yes, for those who don't know, Thomas and Friends is 80 years old. Let me repeat that. 80! That's crazy. What it started as a book series, turned into a model series, turned into a CGI series, turned into a garbage kid show, which is kind of depressing. Which is why I kind of fell out with the franchise recently, because of that all engines go crap. I didn't watch that. I grew up watching the original Thomas and Friends model era from like 2009 to 2015, I'll say. Yeah, I'm going with that. I also grew up watching this Australian YouTuber called Leokimvideo, which if you're in the Thomas community, should instantly ring a bell.
Don't tell me you learned nothing from the chaos you see here. I've learned heaps of things. I've learned flamethrowers are basically useless at unboxing stuff.
I also would watch the first, 7 seasons of the model series, re-uploaded illegally on YouTube, which is what kept me going for a long time. Anyway, I managed to get 2 of the 80th anniversary Trackmaster 3, maybe, characters. And I'm going to talk about the 2 I have. I think it's just Trackmaster 2 still, but the box makes it seem like it's a new thing. Anyway, history lesson over. I'm going to talk about the train in front of you. Thomas is a small tank engine. He looks at a big station on the island of Sodor. He has 6 small wheels, a short stumpy boiler, a short stumpy funnel, and a short stumpy dome. Alright, so I will start by talking about Thomas. I'll get to the rolling stock later. But I'll start by talking about our main man, Thomas. Now, this is possibly one of the most perfect Thomases I've ever held. In fact, it might be the most perfect one I've ever held. I've never gotten the Bachman one, if you're wondering. Yeah, this is probably one of the most perfect Thomases I've ever held. His proportions are all perfect. All the details are there. He has white on his running board. All the other Thomases I have, all of them, don't have white on their running board. This is the first Thomas I've ever had to have white on the running board. It's ridiculous that it took Mattel like 15 years to add a splash of white on a toy that isn't rarer than gold. I do like his face a lot. It's a lot different to the stock standard Trackmaster 2 face. This is one of the only Trackmaster 2 Thomases I have. He's one from a mine. I've painted the buffers as well. But yeah, it's a much more interesting face than just stock standard. I'm smiling, I'm happy, I'm kind of chubby as well. This one looks like this face was pulled out of the model series. I mean, so is this whole Thomas. He just looks so perfect. I will compare him to my childhood Trackmaster Thomas. So this Trackmaster one here, I got in 2020. And it came in a big play set with one piece of rolling stock, and it was fine for a while. I'll get back to that. And then this here is my childhood Trackmaster 1 Thomas. This thing has been through hell and back. He does not work. His wheels are a bit... This one spins a lot more than this one. Couplings broke, stickers are bad. Some people might say, oh, it's a pretty ruined toy. It's a toy that's been played with and it's been loved. Almost all my Thomas toys, they've been through hell and back. Like, you can just see the buffer details there, and the fact there's no white running board. He also has his name on the bottom, and he actually doesn't snap back together, but the screw's been rounded off by me when I was about, 10 was the last time I changed the batteries. There aren't batteries in them. I did take them all out a long time ago. So yeah, just comparing him to this Thomas, it's a world of difference. Like, the 80th anniversary one is bigger, has more detail, but this old Trackmaster one still can hold its own. I reckon some people might go for this one because of the nostalgia, but a lot of people probably go for this one. And this back in the day was maybe $15 for one of these, and I got this Thomas for $18 with 2 pieces of rolling stock, which I now quickly talk about. I've had a real bit of trouble getting troublesome trucks. I don't have many. I think I have some minis, and I don't know where they are. But that's I'll probably find them after I finish recording this video. But yeah, I have 2 Trackmaster Troublesome Trucks. This is my first Trackmaster Troublesome Trucks, which is hysterical. I've had Trackmaster toys since like 2012, 2011. Yeah, I like the faces on them. I like the detail, I like the weathering. The cargo's just boring boxes, which is fine. But yeah, this is a pretty good pair to get with a classic Thomas, which is possibly one of the most perfect Thomases I've got. I reckon it might be the perfectest one. I do want to compare him, before I talk about the things I don't like, compare him to another toy that would be in his price range, price category. I don't know. It would in the 75th anniversary Thomas, which is kind of just, I mean, it's all right. They updated the mold by adding a bit of party hat to his side, and there's a gold Thomas. This is Trackmaster 2. I got this in 2020 as well, and he's got some wagons that celebrating the 20th anniversary. But like, I reckon most people will take the Thomas in the back, not the one in the front, because this one here didn't have the white running board, didn't have buffer details, nothing on the back, barely has a whistle. Meanwhile, this one has most of those things.
When I went into the city to buy these guys,
I could only get 2 because that's all I could afford, and there were many more there, and I went back a week or 2 later, and the only thing that was left were Thomas Minis. All the 80th anniversary stock was bought out, all of it. The only thing I could find was All Engines Go stuff, which I'm not interested in the slightest. This Thomas here I'm holding is the, I don't know, Diamond, Platinum, whatever you want to call it, 75th anniversary Thomas. I tried to look for some push-along Thomases to compare to this one, and there were none in the city when I went to go and buy some. So that was a disappointing trip. I went home empty-handed. I was tempted to buy like a Gordon, but then it was All Engines Go, so I just put it down and left the shop. What don't I like about this Thomas? There's like maybe 1 or 2 things I don't like. Firstly, knockoff Thomases 10 years ago predicted that the switches would be red in the future, and they were right. The back is pretty pathetically detailed. I mean, I like the molded lamp. Buffers aren't detailed properly, and his whistle isn't painted. I mean, it is. I got this for $18, which is a steal, by the way. That's pretty good value for money. Small details that aren't painted are really the only things I can complain. Otherwise, he's pretty good. Like both my other Thomas Trackmasters don't have the ladder step up into his cab, so that's something this Thomas has over them. Also, he's much bigger and just feels like a real train engine, unlike all the other ones, which are kind of squashed down. Something I do want to briefly compare him to is the old Take Along Thomas and Take and Play Thomas. This one I got from an acquaintance, and this one is my first Take and Play Thomas. In case you couldn't tell due to the wear and tear. And comparing him to these much older Thomases, you can see that these ones still hold up pretty well to this one, and you can see how in recent years we've fallen off from the Take Along, Take and Play to this Push Along stuff. One other thing I don't like is how the back coupling is 5 kilometers long. Why? There's a massive gap between the trucks and the engine. Other Trackmasters I have, like for example the 75th anniversary Thomas, there's just a normal gap between the rolling stock. I mean, the rolling stock in this one is kind of not really that interesting, but there's a normal gap between them, unlike the 9-kilometer gap between Thomas and his trucks. It looks much worse on the tender engines, which I can actually show because I have one. I don't know if you're ready for this, but be ready for James. Oops. Yep, the other one I got was James. I was tempted by Gordon and the Flying Scotsman, but then I saw James behind them and grabbed him. Many years ago, I had a Talking James, a Trackmaster 1 Talking James, and lost it or the batteries died. I'm not sure, but I've been on the hunt for a Trackmaster James ever since that day in 2014. I've been on the hunt for another one, and I saw this one. I was like, okay, child Gus, I will get you something you've wanted that you've lost. So yeah, this is Trackmaster 80th anniversary James, and well, what can I say about him? He's a James. He is gigantic. That's what put me off buying the other tender engines, is comparing Thomas and James. Look how big James's face is compared to Thomas's. For an example, I'll grab a different Thomas and James. Here's a Take Along Thomas and a Take Along James. they scale very nicely with each other. Their faces are the same, their buffers roughly match the same height. You know, they can couple together very easily. James has cab detail, which I'll get to. And, you know, they scale really well with each other. Unlike this James and this Thomas, I feel like they could have done a little bit, just a little bit to James, maybe a little bit of scaling to either make James his head a bit smaller, or his boiler a bit, just make him a little bit smaller, just so he scales better with Thomas, because it just doesn't look right putting them next to each other. Comparing him to other Jameses, he looks fine. Like, I'm not sure what else I really can say. He looks good. He's got the white running board, which I really, really like. Painted buffer details. He doesn't have a whistle because that's where his motor switch is. Yeah, he actually has a cab, which I don't think Trackmaster James have had up to this point. He actually has cab detail, which is kind of cool. I guess you could stick a Lego minifigure in there. Let me grab one. You can just fit a Lego minifigure in there. Probably need some blue tack. There you go. James has got a crewman. Okay. Obviously, his tender says 5 on it. You do get a piece of rolling stock with James. You get a milk van. I would have preferred a box van like the ones in the Flying Kipper, but other than that, this is fine. It's not that interesting. There's no face on it, which is fine. It should say soda or milk, but honestly, this is a kind of cheap toy, and most people are getting at the engine, and the rolling stock is just something for him to pull, and this looks fine. It's fine. It's for a tanker, it's fine. It's a bit squashed and small, but it's fine. Okay, now we'll talk about what I don't like about James. Can you see it? The giant gap in between his tender and him. Not even the take-along has a gap this bad. The take-along has a reasonably fine gap. And it still has the cab detail. Mattel's excuse might have been, oh, we needed a big gap for the cab detail. You really didn't. You could have just given James the old coupling and it would have been fine. Like, it just looks so weird. On Thomas, it looked bad. On James, it looks really bad. His tender also has removable coal, which is a cool play feature. But then you look at his tender without it, and these giant holes in the top of it. It looks so dog shit, particularly from this angle. With the coal in it, it masks it a bit, and like from the side, it looks fine. But from the back or front, it looks dog water. And his tender is also a bit small, but that's something with the Trackmaster that's been a problem for a while. Is the tender is usually a bit squashed down. The take-along tender is more accurate than this James's tender because it's got 3 wheels. I don't know if there is a Trackmaster tender engine that has the correct amount of wheels. I certainly know James doesn't. He does have his 4th wheel here. It's just a dummy one, but it is there, which I will give them credit for that. This James is fine. I'm glad I bought him. Should I have gotten Gordon or the Flying Scotsman or whoever else there was? No. I'm happy with James, and that's fine. I've been keeping these boxes for quite a while, but I've probably got to get rid of them now, so I'll just show them quickly. Here's James's box without the plastic thing. The box is just kind of bland. There's a Thomas 80th anniversary logo there. It just has a picture of James on the side and back. It's CGI James. I would have used model James. This is James, classic James. There's like a barcode being pulled by Thomas, which is pretty cool. On the back, there's no advertising, which I feel like they should have. Here's the rest of them you can buy. Here's the playset. Instruction manual in every language known to man. This certainly isn't a Lego instruction. It shows you how to open the toy up, and then it shows the batteries in every single language known to man. And then I think this is a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, how to get rid of it. Thomas did come with the same instructions or whatever, but this is the classic Thomas box. I tried to cut it up so it would be nice to see. It just has a plain background. There's a piece of track in there. Notice how I'm using classic Trackmaster tracks because I don't have any of this, the grey stuff. Yeah, just CGI Thomas on the top and on the back. I think that's a slightly different model to this one. His face looks different, and it's like his boiler, like the grey part of his front bit is like it's slightly off grey when this one's black, and his like facial expressions was also different. Anyway, the boxes aren't the most interesting thing. The toy is the most interesting. It also says Thomas and Friends. Some people might be interested in reading the bottom. You can pause and read that. It says 2024. Most places in the world got them like late 2024, early 2025. Australia got them like a month ago. that was my review of Classic Thomas and Classic James. Hopefully this video doesn't get flagged for YouTube Kids. So, piss, shit, balls, dick. Hopefully that stops the flagging for YouTube Kids, because I am worried that will happen. Next review will be back to a Lego one, probably Plo Koon Starfighter, or maybe the Arc 170, depending how long they take to edit and make. Alright, as the great Leokimvideo once said, thanks for watching, bye for now.